we join the hunt for a hunter.
It's just a wonder to watch them moving around the sky.
Don't forget, if you want to get in contact with the show, why not drop me an email, john.cuthill@bbc.co.uk. Still to come,
We're on the hunt for a hunter.
now finally, it's one of our most agile birds of prey, displaying some awesome aerobatic ability. So where better to start my journey to find a hobby than a shed in West Sussex?
Meet Tony Ladd from Bognor Regis in Sussex, an artist who creates exact replicas of British bird eggs.
Show me where it all happens then. Wow, look at this.
Tony's eggs are so lifelike, they're sold to museums and private collectors around the world.
I've always had an interest in natural history, and I've always fished as a boy and done a lot of bird watching. This came about when my stepfather, who is the foreman at Chichester Cathedral, sort of fell in love with a resident pair of peregrines that were nesting there. And when it came to his retirement, I wanted to do him a special gift, something a little bit different. And I came up with the idea of trying to produce, at the time, a set of replica peregrine eggs. And that's really where it came from, you know, where this idea hatched, pardon the pun.
What's the fascination for you? What keeps you going?
I think the fascination is because these patterns, spots and etc. are done by nature to try and mimic them as near as possible. It really does give you an idea of the beauty of nature, and when they all come together, the subtleties of colour just look perfect. Some of the eggs look like jewels, they really do.
Now, the reason I'm here, because I want to talk hobby.
Right, fantastic. The bird itself is a phenomenal hunter, and if anyone's lucky enough to have seen a hobby on the wing, it is kind of like a swift on steroids. It moves so fast, it actually makes a peregrine look a little bit stiff in the air.
Are the eggs as impressive as the bird?
Yes, they are.
Wow, here we go. Look
Yeah,
at
they are there.
these. They are fantastic, aren't they?
You can see there is an overall tone of a pinky brick red background colour.
I don't know why. I was expecting them to be slightly larger.
A hobby is a very sleek bird, obviously, and the size of a kestrel, so it is quite a small egg, yeah. When the egg is inside the bird and it's moved from the oviduct down into the uterus is surrounded with tiny little ink ducts that actually apply the colour. Now, depending on the species, some eggs will actually spiral as they come down that duct, and when the ink ducts touch that egg surface, you would obviously get a squiggly pattern because the egg is on the move. What happens with the hobby is you do get these very dark brown streaks and patches on them, which are almost blood red, you know, being a bird of prey. Quite appropriate, really.
While Tony's hobby's turned into a business, my business right now is to find a hobby. I've come to Wareham Forest in Dorset, nearly 4,000 acres of open heath and woodland. It's one of the best places in the county to spot hobbies. Luckily, I've got some help.
Every time I see a hobby, it's kind of, I get such a thrill. It's like the first time I've seen it. They're just so well adapted as aerial predators.
Volunteer raptor surveyor Jason Fathers has been in awe of hobbies since he was a child.
The way they fly and catch dragonflies, just a wonder to watch them moving around the sky.
Hobbies make an incredible journey every year from Africa to breed. They return to the same nest site, and Jason has a plan to make his and the hobbies' lives slightly easier.
Hobbies don't build their own nest. In fact, all the falcons in all the world don't build a nest at all. So they're all looking for another structure. That might be another nest of another bird or a cliff ledge to lay their eggs on. This is one of my artificial hobby nesting baskets. What I've made here out of a hanging basket and coir matting is what I think will imitate a crow's nest. So when I put them up in traditional sites, I can just, it makes my work easier I can just go and check the basket and see if the birds are using it.
So you're almost tempting them in. Once you know the rough area where the hobbies are active, you can put these up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why not try this?
It's helping them and helping us monitor them. So
you spoil them. This is
well,
a work of art.
well,
It's
thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you
It's
very much.
5-star, isn't it? 5-star.
Today, Jason and his colleague Tim are checking a hobby nest. They've spotted 2 chicks which need to be ringed. They're a long way up.
We've looked at them with a telescope from the side, and I think they're probably about 20 days old. So they've probably got about another 7 to 10 days before they fully mature and they fledge.
And it's important that this is done so you can track, you can monitor, you can see the spread of the bird.
By putting rings on, if we didn't put rings on birds, we wouldn't be able to gather the data. So although it disturbs us for a little while, the data is very valuable so that we can monitor our bird populations.
Whilst Tim makes his way up to the nest, I catch up with Ranger Mark Warne from Forestry England. This place is hobby heaven.
The habitat around us is just so diverse, and that's one of the big appeals, isn't it?
It is, yeah. For a species like the hobby, it just gives that ultimate diversity for them. The prey availability is huge. You know, we've created such a vast range of structure here with young plantation, mature trees that hobby will use to nest in. They'll hunt house martins, sand martins, particularly when they're breeding. They'll take those bigger prey, but dragonfly are one of their favourites. And as you've seen today, we've got a huge number of dragonfly in the forest.
At the nest site, Tim has made it to the top.
2 little beauties. One slightly smaller. Okay. Beautiful little bird. Absolute beauty.
The chicks are carefully placed in a bag for their first trip out of the nest.
Okay, looking at these, I would say they're about 22 days old.
Yeah.
This bird will be fully grown in about 10 days' time. Then it will spend 6 to 8 weeks here in the forest learning to hunt. And then it's going to make a trip to South Africa where it overwinters.
It's incredible, isn't it,
So,
that journey? And they come back to the same spot.
They will come back to Britain if this bird gets found again, caught, or unfortunately found dead somewhere, and the ring is red. We'll know where it was ringed, how old it was, and where it was found. 272. Yeah, that is
Watching from a little box.
quite well fed, that bird.
So right now, Mum and Dad working hard, trying to
That's
get the food inside them ready for the
That's it. Yeah.
ready for the trip.
Yeah. This bird, if it's a male, might come back to within 20 kilometres of here and set up a nest in a couple of years' time. So should we get these birds back in the nest?
Let's do it.
Good.
It's estimated there are around 50 pairs of hobbies in Dorset. And the good news is that their numbers are stable. For these chicks, it's just the start of their adventures, and one day they might return.
Stunning pictures of the hobbies there. Great stuff. More stories from the south, same time next week. Till then.